look like the white moonlight of the Prince of Beijing Circle. Everyone asked me to be a stand-in to make money, but I didn't do it and did bad things everywhere with this face. Sure enough, the prince couldn't stand it, and gave me 5 million every time. I don't allow you to broadcast live with her face. It's vulgar. Don't use her face to point male models. Who allowed you to seduce me with her face? Later, the prince became my follower. Wherever I went, he would even take a shower and sleep with me. Later, Bai Yueguang returned to China, and pretended to fall at the airport. But the prince sneered, "Don't pretend. A woman with this face can't be so weak. You green tea bitch." 1. I always thought I was a female college student, who was ordinary except for her flat chest. But recently strange things have always happened to me. No matter what kind of part-time job I am looking for, someone who looks like a bodyguard in black will always come to me, and give me a thick envelope of money. And he said, "Miss Young, this kind of job is too shameful. Please resign immediately after taking the money." At first I was very cautious, and I would feel nervous when I received money. Later, the more times, I became bolder, and even deliberately found 5 or 6 part-time jobs a day. I also collected more and more envelopes, and I got almost 500,000 yuan in just half a month. On this day, I was waiting for the bodyguard in black to deliver money at the door of my part-time convenience store. A woman with heavy makeup passed by and stared at me. Fan Bingbing. I thought she mistaken me for Fan Bingbing, and was about to be happy when she cursed angrily. Oh, it turned out to be the clumsy stand-in recently. Did you deliberately make it like this, thinking that you could climb into Brother Qingya's bed? Bah. 2. After listening to the ins and outs, I think she is right. That it turned out that Su Qingya, the prince of the top rich family in Beijing, gave me the money during this period. He is also a schoolgirl in our school. He is tall and handsome, and both men and women want to sleep when they see him. But he is too cold and never talks to women. If any girl can talk to him, she will be worshipped by the top of the forum for 3 months. It is rumored that he has a white moonlight who has gone abroad, named Fan Bingbing. And I actually look like Fan Bingbing. Especially when I'm also black and straight, I'm extremely similar. When my 3 roommates knew about it, they screamed. I heard that the prince has let go, and wants to find a stand-in for the white moonlight. And he will give 2 million a month. Oh my god. Yang Lu, you are going to develop. I can sleep with the prince and take money. I'm so envious. They were right. That night, a bodyguard in black came to the dormitory to block me. "Miss Yang, our prince wants to see you. Please get on the bus with us." But I asked back, "How much is your monthly salary? If you don't say anything, I will tell the prince that you are trying to be rude to me." The bodyguard in black gave in horror and said, "We are the prince's bodyguards, with a monthly salary of 1.5 million yuan. I can't help but fall into meditation, thinking of being a white moonlight stand-in. It's only 2 million yuan, and I have to sleep with him, serve the prince to be happy, and look at people's faces to make a living. In case the prince is unhappy, maybe 2 million will be gone, and he will humbly lick him. It's hard and unsecure." I decided to take a risk and make a big bet. I took down all the envelopes from the dormitory, and smashed them on the bodyguard in black. "Go back and tell Su Qingya, Yang Lu didn't get the food. Let him take away this bad money." I rushed back to the dormitory with red eyes and tears in my eyes, looking painful. This is not a pretend. I'm really in pain. After all, it's 500,000. 3. But as the old saying goes, it's hard to give up with a child who can't trap a wolf. The next night after throwing away the money, I deliberately applied for the KTV singing princess. Naturally, this kind of high-end club is the rich second generation in the Beijing Circle, and they are the dog legs of the prince. Sure enough, when I appeared in the box, their expressions were very terrified. They not only did not dare to click on me, but also scrambled to take out their mobile phones to report the news. Half an hour later, I was ordered to the highest-end box. As soon as I entered the door, I saw a long figure sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed, and his angular side face was hidden in the darkness. This should be the famous prince. I cleared my throat and said, "Hello, I'm Bingbing number 37. What can I do for you?" The figure on the sofa suddenly stood up. "Do you also use this name?" His long legs came to me, and his slender fingers pinched my jaw. He was so close to me that I finally saw his face clearly. He has a high nose and deep eyes, sharp facial features and a thick face, which looks very difficult to mess with. But no matter how difficult it looks to mess with, I know he is just 20 years old. Unlike a child like me who grew up in a ravine, he has to work in the field at the age of 6 or 7, and his mind is particularly precocious. Su Qingya, a prince who grew up with a golden spoon, has not experienced the beating of life, and it is estimated that he will not be mature until the age of 30. I warn you, you are not allowed to do this kind of thing with her face in the future, and you are not allowed to smear her image. You know what will happen. Before Su Qingya finished his words, I suddenly patted his hand. "Oh, then how do you know that this kind of thing is slandering her image? What if she likes it too?" Su Qingya frowned darkly, and then sneered. "Nonsense, will she come to be a female singer? There is no absolute in everything. Do you know her?" "Understood. I know you have been caught up long ago. Otherwise why didn't you catch up? You say it. Su Qingye was silent. I put my hands around my chest. And I look so much like her, which shows that we have common genes and ancestors. I must know her better than you. Su Qingye stared at me coldly. I stared back without showing any weakness. I'm very similar to her. Isn't it equivalent to staring at her if you stare at me like this? Why do you say you like her? Su Qingye squeezed his thin lips. He looked away after a few seconds. The voice was cold. Since you know her, follow me now and make it clear in another place. I didn't move. Then I still have to go to work. I don't have money. How can I live? Isn't your white moonlight also trying to survive abroad? 5 minutes later, Su Qingye transferred 5 million to me. Remarks, voluntary gift. Look, the double is only 2 million a month, and I earn twice as much in one night. The opportunity is indeed reserved for the cruel. 4. I didn't cheat Su Qingye's money. I also took time to learn about Fan Bingbing. I added her WeChat account pretending to be a bird's nest seller, and found that she was more vain and rich. But Su Qingye's moments that posted luxury goods would block her. I also know why Su Qingye failed to catch up with her. In his eyes, Fan Bingbing is a pure girl who hates vulgar money, so he will never spend money on her. But Fan Bingbing should still treat Su Qingye as a spare tire. After all, the prince is rich and handsome. I can't help but feel a little sympathy for Su Qingye. Therefore I deliberately showed my love for money. Every time Su Qingye came to me, I opened my mouth. If we meet, we will give 500,000 yuan. If you chat for more than 3 hours, you will be given 1 million. I want to change my part-time job, starting from 5 million. The prince is really rich, but he is not stupid. Sometimes if he gives too much, he will frown and stare at me. Yang Lu, why do I feel that you are a cruel liar? I felt guilty, and then retorted. Is my appearance very weak? Do you think your white moonlight is weak? Su Qingye thought for a bit and said, it's quite weak. My brother said that she was so weak that she coughed every day. I couldn't listen any longer. I opened my moments to show him how Fan Bingbing drank all night in the nightclub, and sat on a man's lap. The more Su Qingye looked at it, the darker his face became. I dropped my mobile phone. This must be PS. How can she sit on a man's lap? I was so angry that I got up and sat on his lap, with my hands around his neck. Did you see it? I can sit and so can she. Su Qingye was obviously stiff, and the sexy collarbone under his shirt was tense into a V-shape, which made me swallow my saliva. Well, why doesn't Fan Bingbing know how to cherish such a tender, juicy and handsome man? Go down. Su Qingye's throat knot rolled, and his voice was hoarse. Young Lu, don't force me to kill you. I suddenly came closer, infinitely close to his thin lips. Feeling that Su Qingye's face was red, I had a bad heart and took a gentle breath at his cochlea. I thought Su Qingye would take the money to smash me and tell me to get out. But the next second, the back of my head was suddenly snapped, and something cold stuck to my lips. 5. It took me 10 seconds to realize that this was Su Qingye's lips. He is kissing me. My heart beat faster, and I didn't know for a moment whether I should stick out my tongue or pout my mouth. I blame myself for making money. After living for 19 years, it was the first time I had sex with a man. After hesitating for a few seconds, I chose to lick his lips and be polite. But Su Qingye stiffened all over, suddenly retreated, and said angrily, you are not allowed to use her face to lick a man's behavior. Anger returns to anger. I looked down. I saw the expansion of the sponge volume. Su Qingye obviously also found it. He gritted his teeth and stared at me, and his handsome face changed several times. He pulled his coat to try to cover it, but I took out my mobile phone to take a picture first. Yang Lu, seeing that he wanted to rob, I immediately took the lead. If you say you love her, your body's reaction is really honest. You say, if I send her the picture, will she dislike you for not meeting the standard? My voice is loud. After all, quarreling is louder than whoever can suppress it. Su Qingye's face was extremely dark, and the words were all biting out. What do I mean by the standard? Tell me clearly. I stretched out my little thumb. He blew up completely. He is worthy of being the prince. He is so handsome that people can't stop flowing when he is angry. Young Lu, are you blind? Take a look at it for me now and see it clearly. He slapped my head, but I held his hand with my backhand. I'm a big girl who hasn't even talked to a boyfriend. If you let me see this, won't my spirit be lost? Su Qingye stared at me, and almost didn't think about it. He transferred 2 million to me on the spot. As soon as he finished the transfer, the anti-fraud center called. He pressed it off directly and said to me coldly, can we continue? Now I can not only see clearly, but also be forced to record detailed data. I have to say that the gold content of the prints evaluated by the Beijing Circle is still very high. The hardware is first class, which can be seen from afar and played with. The color is eye-catching, and the smell is fresh. I'm so happy to eat and take. But the prince didn't seem to be very happy. He pressed his lips tightly, as if he was putting up with something. After I said super pink and super beautiful, he slammed the door and left. 6. He slammed the door loudly, which briefly awakened my conscience. I think I'm a little too much for Su Qingye. He was deceived by the pure green tea and white moonlight, which was already miserable. I also cheated him, and let him pay money and show points. I reflected deeply at home for 15 seconds, And then I received Su Qingya's WeChat. Come to my house. I just finished watching his one, and I also secretly pinched my legs. Now it's the time of the sage, and I don't want to move at all. I was about to refuse, but before I finished typing, he transferred 500,000 yuan. I jumped up in a second and got to his house as fast as I could. On the way, I checked the enemy situation. It turned out that Fan Bingbing officially announced her relationship in her circle of friends, and posted a photo with her new boyfriend. Sure enough, when I arrived at the villa, I saw Su Qingya sitting by the garden pool with 2 glasses of wine on the low table. I walked over with iron and steel. What's the use of drinking to drown her sorrow? If you want to chase her, you have to use tricks. Su Qingya took a look at me, quickly opened his eyes and said unnaturally, I just took a nap and dreamed. Dream of her. I'm even more angry. I sat directly on his lap, wrapped his neck, and took an intimate photo of kissing his face. Then he sent a moment's message with his WeChat, and the setting was only visible to Fan Bingbing. Su Qingya was about to open his mouth, but I raised my index finger against my lips. Sure. I bet within 60 seconds she will definitely. The mobile phone message rang. Fan Bingbing sent a message. Why are you busy? Su Qingya looked at me unexpectedly, and I asked him proudly. Are you excited? He doesn't have much expression. I guess he pretended. Bai Yueguang took the initiative to find him. Can he not be excited? 7. But I didn't ask Su Qingya to reply. How can straight men fight against green tea? I pumped out Su Qingya's usual tone and imitated the reply. Well, outside. Fan Bingbing. It's rare for you to post on WeChat moments. Did your girlfriend send it with your mobile phone? It's a good shot. I feel inferior when I look at it. I really envy her aggrieved. What a great trick. That it's worthy of the prince's white moonlight. There's something wrong. Su Qingya stood beside me. I looked up at him, and found that he was staring at my face, and his eyes were very focused. I said angrily, What are you doing with me? Look at your reply from Bai Yueguang. Su Qingya immediately lowered his eyes. Well, I'm watching. I thought about it and replied, You don't like me. Why do you care about my girlfriend? Fan Bingbing. Qingya, don't say that. You know, I'm different from others. Me. What's the difference? Fan Bingbing. It's different everywhere. The boyfriend I'm talking to now is just more mature and experienced than you. Other than you, he is not as good as you. I typed and deleted it repeatedly, deliberately creating the illusion that I was typing, forcing her to take the initiative to say the next sentence. Sure enough, she quickly accepted it when she saw it. I'm going to yoga class. For you, I will stay healthy and fit. When I return to China, I will explain everything to you, okay? The one who stepped on the horse is a top female sea king. I really admire it. I asked Su Qingya. How do you feel when you read what she said? Su Qingya frowned. What does it have to do with me when she takes a yoga class? That me. She means that she is working hard for you. Su Qingya. I don't like yoga. I asked again. Did you chat before? Phew. I flipped up, and as expected, there were only a few words. No matter what Fan Bingbing said, Su Qingya couldn't answer. It's impossible for a straight man to chat with a green tea on WeChat. I analyzed the chat records and looked at Fan Bingbing's current boyfriend, who was a gym cafe. Finally, I summarized it for Su Qingya. She has talked so many things, and the proportion of men in the gym accounts for 89.663118%, which shows that she likes to work well, and can play with many tricks. Your weapon is big enough to foul again. What you lack now is to live well, and have a lot of tricks. By the way, how many women have you slept with? I'll evaluate your skills. 8. When the last question came out, Su Qingya turned black for some reason, and stared at me fiercely. What, do you know this very well? He asked me coldly. How many times have you slept? I choked. I can't tell the truth that I haven't slept with a man, can I? What if he thinks I'm not professional and dismisses me? I coughed lightly. Not much, 5. Su Qingya's face turned darker, and he stood up suddenly. The table was so noisy. I was shocked. What are you doing? Does he think I sleep too little? Not experienced enough? He said coldly. Don't do anything. Oh, then I sleep twice as much as you 10. I blurted out. It's impossible. Then you can react when I lick my lips. It seems that it's almost time. It looks like lack of experience. Su Qingya suddenly bent down. Before I could react, he hugged me around my waist. He put me in his arms. When I raised my face in surprise, he lowered his head and kissed me hard. I subconsciously wanted to push him, but he cut off my hands and bullied me against the wall. His lips and teeth were entangled. He was arrogant and urgent, and his kiss was deep and heavy. I was almost crying because of his kiss. I was dizzy and my heart beat faster. I sobbed and heard him gasping in my ear. Compared with your 5 ex-boyfriends, do I kiss you comfortably? I fainted with anger. Uncomfortable. Your kissing skills are the worst, and I guess your bed skills are worse 3 seconds at a time. Facts have proved that men can't be provoked. Su Qingya directly picked me up. I wriggled like a carp in his arms, but his arm strength was so good that he easily carried me to the 3rd floor, and threw me on his bed. I rolled twice to crawl away, but he buckled my ankle and dragged me back. When the jeans were stripped off my knees, I realized that he was real. I hurriedly pressed against his chest. Wait! Su Qingya. No, here, this is... What is it? Su Qingya took off his t-shirt with one hand. Strong and white pectoral muscles, male dog waist, beautiful buttocks. That at this moment, for words came to my mind. The best man. I missed it. I may never meet this quality in my life. I swallowed my saliva. The lustful heart gradually drowned out reason. When Su Qingya bent over and kissed me again, I tried to shout with the last soberness. This is another price. 9. In the process, I felt very uncomfortable at first. Su Qingya really doesn't look like he has slept 10 times. It's the first time I've seen him so clumsy. His forehead is still covered with sweat, and he often makes mistakes. That I said angrily. Isn't it 10? I think it's your 10 fingers. He sneered. Aren't you 5? I think you have seen 5, right? I was so angry that I bit him. He kissed me again. We fought to the death in bed. In the end, I didn't beat him, and I was pressed and begged for mercy. I woke up in the vibration and shaking, and I couldn't remember how I fell asleep in the end. I just remember that I bit Su Qingya's shoulder with teeth marks. But he was not angry. At the end, when I cried, he touched my face and coaxed me gently, that I think he should have seen my face like Fan Bingbing, to give birth to such indulgent tenderness. Otherwise, how could he not let me go until the morning? 10. Su Qingya and I began to live together in this way. But I'm not stupid. I signed an agreement with him. He sent me 2 golden stores in the busy area, with a monthly rent of more than 300,000 yuan. I am responsible for training him how to fall in love with a woman, how to make a woman happy, and don't say such straight words. In addition, I also need to train his tricks and rate his daily work. That at first I played level C. Su Qingya was very unhappy, and he had a cold expression again. What's wrong with me? It's too long. I said solemnly. You should be relaxed. Women are very soft. I will be ground to bald, and so will your ice. He still has a cold face. But there was an obvious change at night. The rating is also gradually rising. A month later, I have already played A level. 2 months later, the level came to level S. After the morning, I couldn't help sighing. Sure enough, practice makes perfect. I have to dare to practice everything. This is a precious lesson in my life. I don't know what's wrong with this sentence. Su Qingya was pinching my legs, but suddenly his face turned cold. Yang Lu, am I just your exercise book? What nonsense are you talking about? Don't belittle yourself like this. I glared at him angrily. You are obviously a large ATM. I didn't finish my words, and he threw me down. He tickled me and forced me to admit that he was very important to me. The white moonlight double is addicted to playing, isn't it? Childish. 11. But I'm actually quite childish. To be honest, I was very happy during the period when I lived with Su Qingya. My parents divorced when I was a child and got married separately. No one wants me to be a drag oil bottle. I have been living at my aunt's house. When I was in junior high school, my uncle had bad intentions towards me, which made my aunt have problems with me. Since I moved out in the 2nd semester of the 3rd year of junior high school, I have been living alone. I have never felt at home. No one will ask me what time I will be home, ask me what I want to eat at night, and say that I wear less clothes when I go out in the morning. Now these have been contracted by Su Qingya. I thought that cohabitation would be for me to serve him. After all, I took so much money from him, and it was right. But in fact he not only cooks well, but also supervises me to go to bed early and get up early, take me to exercise, teach me English and German, give me various festivals, and give me a lot of gifts. I praise him in different ways every day, saying that he is a good boyfriend of 24 filial piety. I found that he likes to listen to rainbow farts. As long as I praise him, the corners of his lips will be raised quietly. His smile is so handsome, just like the male protagonist in a romance novel I read in junior high and senior high school. It's just that at that time, it was called The President, but now it's popular to call it The Prince. However, what remains unchanged is that both the President and the Prince have white moonlight. Finally, this white moonlight returned to China. She is going to take back what she belongs to herself. 12. This is not my malicious speculation about Fan Bingbing. On the day she returned to China, she posted a circle of friends. My Prince Charming, I want to write it myself. The picture is a photo of her at the airport, dressed in cyan clothes, embroidered on her chest, Qinlu 39103QY. The hint meaning is also too obvious. I immediately forwarded it to Su Qingya. Didi, does this dress look good? Su Qingya replied to me in seconds. Good looking, whatever you wear looks good. What do you want to eat in the evening? I asked Wang's mother to buy it. Dish. I was too busy with the internship yesterday. I want to do it tonight, tick tick. I was angry. Look at the picture carefully. Who is the woman in that dress? It's your goddess. Su Qingya didn't reply. At the top of the dialogue box, the other party is typing is repeatedly displayed. Oh, I get it. He is learning my trick, forcing me to help, but take the initiative to speak. After all, his white moonlight is back, and I, a stand-in, should quit. I thought about it for a while, and typed a paragraph. Mr. Su, your goddess Brahma is back. You have been preparing for so long. I believe you will succeed in capturing her heart. Hey, thank you, Mr. Su. for your employment and care for the past 4 months and 19 days. Xiaoyang, I won't bother you. I have asked Wang's mother to pack my luggage and send it to the same city. I wish you in the white moonlight as soon as possible. Hundreds of battles and hundreds of victories. Mr. Su rushes the duck. I have read it several times and click to send. Su Qingye is still typing. What the hell? Is it because we have lived together in the past few months, and our classmates have seen it every day? He doesn't want to be discussed as a scumbag? That's not good. He is so generous to me that I can't let his reputation be damaged. I immediately found a male friend, gave him a sum of money, and then posted a circle of friends to officially declare my relationship with him. Many students came to congratulate me. Even Fan Bingbing liked me. But Su Qingye still didn't reply to me. However, the top of the dialog box is finally not being entered. I tentatively sent him an intimate photo of me and my new boyfriend. Mr. Su, I'm in love. I wish you and the Sanskrit goddess sweet and passionate love soon. 10 minutes later, I found that Su Qingye had deleted me. 13. In the evening, I heard from my classmates that Fan Bingbing came back to school to cause a sensation and invited Su Qingye to dance at the party. I don't know why I was a little sad when I heard it, but it's more gratifying. He is really going to succeed, and it's not in vain that he spent so much money and thought to devote himself to me. A week later, I didn't miss Su Qingye anymore and applied to study abroad. Although I have worked countless part-time jobs, my grades are not bad, and the application is very smooth. In the first month of my stay abroad, I was a little lonely. I often thought of Su Qingye in the middle of the night. I sneaked to see Fan Bingbing's circle of friends, but she didn't post intimate photos with Su Qingye, nor did she make an official announcement. Aren't they going well? It's impossible. Su Qingye has been perfectly trained by me. Who doesn't want such a great man? I knocked sideways with my classmates again. The classmate said that Fan Bingbing pretended to fall down that day and asked Su Qingye to pick her up with a tearful face. Everyone thought they were going to be together. Su Qingye blurted out with a sneer. Don't pretend. A woman with this face can't be so weak. You are a green tea. Fan Bingbing seemed to be shocked and ran away crying. I heard it. That's called anger. There is a sense of anger that the students I taught beat the invigilator at the college entrance examination site. I was angry until the middle of the night, and I began to have stomach colic and kept vomiting. I realized that I had acute gastroenteritis. I can't help it. My stomach was raised by Su Qingye. Foreign food is really hard to swallow, and my cooking is terrible. I wrapped up a dress and reluctantly went downstairs to go to the emergency room. The ambulance was too expensive. I covered my stomach and looked around. Finally, I had to squat on the side of the road and vomit. Suddenly, a tall figure appeared in front of me. That I looked up and saw Su Qingye's handsome face. There is only one idea in my mind. Fuad abroad is really not a good place. The poisonous smell is so strong that I have hallucinations. 14. It was not until Su Qingye leaned over and picked up that I was sure that it was not an illusion. The prince was still so big-footed that he directly wrapped up the senior ward and let me lie down for infusion. I slept in a daze for most of the night. When I woke up, I found Su Qingye sitting on the edge of my hospital bed with his face up. As soon as I moved, he opened his eyes. Are you awake? Are you still uncomfortable? He got up and looked at my forehead and called the doctor again. Finally, he said to me, It's okay. Don't be afraid. After playing this bottle, we'll go home. Actually, I want to ask him to go. It's not good if Fan Bingbing finds out. But I was so selfish that I didn't say it. I wanted to procrastinate again until he sent me home, so that I wouldn't be too embarrassed. I feel good or bad, and I feel more depressed. I didn't open my mouth all the way. When I got to the door of the house I rented, I said, Thank you. I won't invite you to sit in. You can do your business. That Su Qingye's face turned black. Is your boyfriend here? He looked into the room with an expressionless face. Then you had gastroenteritis last night. Why didn't he accompany you? He sneered. Is he a cripple? Blind? Why do you feel that he is satirizing me? I scratched my head. Oh, why do you want me to say it so directly? Aren't you afraid that Fan Bingbing will be unhappy when she knows it? We used to live together. A lot of students know about it. Su Qingye stood still and frowned deeply. Why do you always mention her? After a pause, he said in a stiff voice, I have nothing to do with her now. It hasn't been taken yet. When I thought of the stupid thing he had done, I suddenly got angry. Why did you scold her for green tea? Still in public. Su Qingye, you are too much, do you know? You don't know that she has talked to Lo many times abroad. It's not surprising that she has green tea. Since you like her so much, why do you give up so easily? You spent so much money for her. Of course, you may not care if you have money, but aren't you afraid that you will regret it in the future? It's not easy to have many people you like when you are young. We are still college students. In the future, you may not have so much sincerity when you completely get out of the society. After I shouted, I felt regretful again. What right do I have to accuse him of being wrong? In his love, I'm just a dog leg who takes money to do things. Su Qingye stood there and said nothing. The atmosphere is extremely quiet. I'm sorry. I lowered my head. I didn't mean to say that. I just hope you can get what you want. He still doesn't speak. I became more and more selfless and hurriedly wanted to close the door. Well, that's it for now. Thank you for sending me back. As soon as I turned around, a big hand clasped my wrist from behind. The force was so strong that my wrist hurt a little. Yang Lu. I thought he was angry and hurriedly said, I'm really sorry, Su Qingya. I may be sick. If I say, Su Qingya's throat rolled, and his voice was slow but clear. I don't like her but... Where are you? I was stunned. For a moment my mind went blank. 15. I forgot how I pushed Su Qingya away and ran into the house. The door was closed by me and locked. He knocked on the door outside. He said repeatedly that he liked me. How could I believe it? Fan Bingbing is his white moonlight. I ran to the room and lay down to sleep. He left when he fell asleep. For a moment, what he said was not credible. I hid in the quilt, and even covered my head. I hated myself. I think it's too harmful to belong to the original family. I don't believe that anyone really likes me, which must be mixed with interests. Maybe Su Qingya feels very comfortable with me. After all, we have slept for a few months, and it is normal to have a little reluctance and illusion. I fell asleep in a daze. In my dream, I also dreamed that Su Qingya said he liked me, and his heart beat very fast when he woke up. I stared blankly at the ceiling and swore to God, if Su Qingya comes again next time, I will never open the door for him. Isn't it the prince of the Beijing Circle? What's so great? 16. Soon I knew that he was really amazing, because I don't need to open the door for him at all. He opened the door by himself. That he used money to drive away my roommate and replace him. He lived in a dignified place, and bought a lot of things: TVs, game consoles, oversized beds. The delivery man brought things in one by one, and the more I looked at it, the angrier I became. You are a loser. Are you going to make a top villa here? Su Qingya stared at me and said, be my girlfriend. You can pretend to be the White House here. Humph. I won't believe it. If you ignore him, I'll be a dog. 17. I found that I am indeed a dog. That my nose is so sharp. Even if I am locked in the room, I can still smell the smell of Su Qingya cooking in the kitchen. It's a small fish head with Sichuan flavor. It's Hunan flavored stir-fried pork. It's Cantonese durian crisp. I struggled fiercely for 3.47 seconds in my heart, and then opened the door and rushed out of the room. In the restaurant, Su Qingya has already served all the dishes on the table. Seeing me coming out aggressively, he said, wash your hands and eat. I glared at him fiercely, and when I sat down, I ate suddenly. Eat slowly. Do you want gastroenteritis again? That he picked up the dishes for me. I stared at him while cooking. He thought back, then folded his long legs, tapped his slender fingers on the table, and said, my woman is so beautiful even when she eats. Remember, woman, she can only laugh at me alone in the future. It's the lines I taught him before. I stared at him. He also stared at me. Then we burst into laughter together. 18. After I was full of wine and food, I burped and collapsed on the sofa. After Su Qingya finished washing the dishes, he made me a cup of grapefruit tea to digest. I stared at his thin long legs and straight buttocks under his pajamas and suddenly said, Su Qingya, are you serious about saying you like me? He responded very quickly. Well, seriously. I said, but you obviously like Fan Bingbing so much. Isn't she your white moonlight? Su Qingya pursed his lips and said, I used to be ignorant. I asked, don't you dare to admit that you like her? How dare I believe that you will like me so irresponsible? It's not that I dare not admit it. He didn't open his eyes. His voice was a little stiff, a little helpless, and a little nervous. I thought I liked her very much, but when I came into contact with you, I found that I didn't really like that. I don't believe it. What's the difference? I will want to know which other man you are with. I will be unhappy and jealous. I don't like the feeling that you are not by my side. I want to wait for you to come home, and be with you every minute. In the past few months of living with you, I feel very happy. I wish I could go on like this forever. I blame myself for not being brave enough. I should have spoken to you earlier. I'm always afraid that you will be scared away by me. I'm afraid that if you don't say it's a deal, you won't stay by my side. You said you were leaving. I really want to keep you. I want to tell you that what I like is you. I want to be with you, but I don't know how to open my mouth. I'm afraid you won't believe me, and I'm afraid you won't care about me anymore. I repeatedly typed and deleted it, but you officially announced your new boyfriend. I was so angry that I deleted you. I regretted that I wanted to add you back, and I was afraid to see you posting love photos in your moments. Yang Lu, you give me a chance to perform well, and you can evaluate me, okay? 19. I didn't answer right away. My reason tells me that I shouldn't pick on these details. Everyone has a past, but if two people really want to be together, they should ask all the little bumps in their hearts. Otherwise they will definitely break out in the future. After all, it will start between us, which is completely from Fan Bingbing. I still look so much like her. So a few days later, I asked Su Qingya again, how did you and Fan Bingbing know each other? We used to be neighbors. So when did you think you liked her? He squeezed his thin lips, looking like he didn't want to say anything. I said, all right, you just think I look like her, and you're just playing a stand-in. Even if you get Wan, Yueguang is a kind of lord. It's not just the emperor. Oh no, not only is the prince wrong, but I am even more wrong. The love and time of these months have been paid by mistake after all. Su Qingye couldn't stand it anymore. He hugged me, kissed me fiercely, and gritted his teeth in my ear and said, "Little liar. It's lost to you." He put the whole thing into it. After saying that, I finally understood why he didn't want to say it. I'd rather have a pair of ears that I haven't heard of. 20. Su Qingye said that when he was 16 years old, his brother, that is Su Jingzhou, the previous prince of Beijing, slept with a girl in the hotel by mistake. The next day, in order to find the girl, his brother posted a tattoo on the girl's naked back on the big screen of the advertisement, and the whole city was wanted. After finding it, he found that the girl had already made a marriage contract, and the object turned out to be his third uncle. Then there was a sadistic love triangle between his brother, his third uncle, and the girl. The city is full of storms and rains, and it is on the hot search every day. In the end, his brother didn't get the beauty's heart. From then on, he always held a string of Buddha beads in his hand, and prayed day and night for the white moonlight buried deep in his heart. And just because his brother is too popular, he is at the age of 16. He thinks it is a very cool thing to have a white moonlight. This is a real man. So Su Qingye also found one. At that time, he put his hands in his pockets all day long, and didn't observe girls at all. Fan Bingbing, who lived next door to him, often fed stray cats. He felt, what a kind girl. This must be my white moonlight. So he began to pursue Fan Bingbing. It is said to be a pursuit, but in fact it is to let the younger brother deliver breakfast several times. And then it spread to the whole school. Everyone is saying, the white moonlight of Prince Su Qingye is Fan Bingbing. The prince sat on the rooftop, and blew the wind for 3 hours for the white moonlight. There is an indelible scar in the heart of the prince, and so on. Su Qingye listened and felt that he was very handsome and manly. Trapped by love is a quality that every deep and mature man deserves. Although he was only 17 years old at that time, he felt that he was very mature. He didn't know that Fan Bingbing was hanging him. He only felt that she was a kind and simple girl. After all, she would feed stray cats. He feels that he likes to love. He often loves until he doesn't sleep at night. In fact, he is playing games and drinking. Fan Bingbing has actually been throwing hooks at him. But he is so straight that he has never understood. Once Fan Bingbing said to him, "Qingye, I have a headache. Can you accompany me?" After Su Qingye found out, he immediately called 120. Fan Bingbing opened the door in a beautiful nightgown, and was pulled away by 120. Later Fan Bingbing went abroad. Su Qingye did not chase him out, because according to public rumors, Bai Yueguang usually goes abroad. I listened solemnly, and only asked one question. Then why is your brother no longer the prince of Beijing Circle? Although he failed to pursue love, he is still there. Su Qingye said, because now he is called Jingquan Buddha on the internet. The position of the prince is vacant, and it's me. Good, it's my mouth. 21. Because of this incident, I laughed at Su Qingye for more than half a year. He was angry at first. As soon as I said that, he kissed me and gagged me. He will also punish me in bed, play in different ways every day, and develop inverted and L-shaped and other tricks. But as long as he gets out of bed, he has no say. I think I'm the type of tigress. I have the final say in everything at home. If I say I want to eat leeks, he won't buy cauliflower. After studying abroad, I joined Su's group with Su Qingye. Originally, his brother was going to take over, but 2 months ago, his brother was not satisfied with wearing Buddha beads. When the girl held a wedding with his third uncle, his brother directly entered the temple as a monk. Actually, I really want to meet his third uncle and that girl. Oh, now I'm the third sister-in-law. I begged Su Qingye to take me to see him. He said. We made an appointment at a place. As a result, as soon as I went there, the flowers on the ground seemed to be endless. Oh, it's the same old way. But when Su Qingye knelt on one knee and handed me the ring, my eyes still turned red. His vow is very simple. Just the word "I love you." And a lot of equity, real estate and cash. He said that he knew that I only liked this. When he could accept the huge amount of money, he would also accept him by the way. And he would work hard to serve me with all kinds of tricks. Well, he is worthy of my man. He really knows me. I snatched the ring and put it on myself. Then he took the other one, and bent down to help him put it on. When he raised his head, I leaned over his neck and kissed him hard. Every time he comes to kiss me, I can't make him tired. I whispered, "Husband, please give me more advice in the future." As soon as the words were finished, the skirt was lifted up. There was Su Qingye's heavy gasp in his ear. I bit his earlobe and asked, "Husband, is there any new trick on your wedding night today?" Su Qingye clasped the back of my head and kissed me with a sullen smile. "Yes, as long as it's with you, it will be there for the rest of my life." Extra Su Qingye's monologue. 1. I heard my younger brother talk about Yanglu. The younger brother said that recently, there was a female college student who was showing off everywhere with Miss Fan's face. Miss Fan? Fan Bingbing. The white moonlight of me going abroad. In fact, I haven't seen Fan Bingbing for more than 2 years. I didn't even remember what she looked like at the first time. But since the younger brother has spoken, I will ask him to solve it with money. Unexpectedly, in just a few days, My younger brother came to tell me that the girl was looking for a part-time job. When he realized, he was trapped for more than 500,000 yuan. My first reaction was, what kind of business genius is this? I had the urge to see her. 2. I went to the club to order her. I know that she deliberately came to the clubhouse to be a bartender to live me out. I was going to scare her. Because she is young and too arrogant, she dares to play tricks on me. But she is a beautiful little girl with a pink and tender cherry mouth, which is super talkative. As soon as we met, I was turned against by her. She said that Fan Bingbing is my white moonlight. I must protect the reputation of white moonlight. I can't stare at her, otherwise I will be a scumbag. I feel like I was surrounded by her. When I came to my senses, the money had been transferred. Every time she talks around me, I will be willing to give her money. That I don't care about money. After all, the company I founded in my first year has also begun to make money, which is just a dime. It is a man's duty to spend money on his own woman. My mother has taught me this since I was a child. When I realized that I regarded Yang Lu as my own woman. In fact, when I first saw her, I didn't think she looked like Fan Bingbing. I think she is much more beautiful than Fan Bingbing. She is the cutest girl I have ever seen. Fairies are just like that. But I know that she doesn't like me at all. 3. Yang Lu only likes money. Every time she sees money, her eyes will light up. I asked someone to check her background. It turns out that she has no parents and no family. A person works hard to support himself and get into college. She has sold starch sausage, worked as a waiter and delivered takeaways. She has nothing. She loves money, so what's wrong? What if she lied to me? I let her cheat. Every time she receives the money, she will smile. When she smiles, she has 2 deep dimples and crescent eyes, which are very beautiful. When I saw it, I felt that the immortals were just like that. How can such a girl have nothing? She deserves everything. 4. When Yang Lu sat on my lap, I was actually very nervous. I've never been intimate with any girl at all. I'm not very interested in that kind of thing. Every time I go to the bar, everyone knows that I have a white moonlight, and no girl will stick it to me. So I didn't explain it later. After all, the white moonlight is a good shield. But when Yang Lu's body approached me, my heart was about to jump out. Her face came closer to me. I tried my best to endure the impulse. I really want to hug her and tell her that I like her. But she said something that made me angry again. I couldn't help kissing her. The moment I kissed her lips, I had never had a satisfaction. It's so sweet. 5. Yang Lu is chatting with Fan Bingbing on my mobile phone. She looked at her mobile phone intently. I also looked at her intently. I think she is so beautiful. She asked me about Fan Bingbing. But I didn't have any impression at all. I just wanted to keep looking at her like this. She said those flirtatious words again. I really can't help it. I forcibly kissed her and carried her upstairs. The moment I got her, I thought that I must marry her. 6. But Yang Lu insists on signing a contract with me. I know that she loves money. And I also know that she doesn't love me at all. And she doesn't even like me. I dare not say it directly. I'm afraid she will run away. I have analyzed it calmly. I know that I am not very attractive to her. If I have to say so, it may only be figure and money. It's simple, then I'll use these 2. I lied to her despicably, and followed her in order to pursue Fan Bingbing in the future. Give her a lot of money again. So I got her for more than 4 months. God knows how happy I am during this period. As long as I'm with her, listen to her chip, listen to her teach me a lesson, and watch her cross her eyes or smile, I feel very happy. I have been preparing to confess to her. I didn't expect Fan Bingbing to return to China suddenly, and I didn't know that Yang Lu would suddenly leave me. When she sent the message, I panicked for the first time, and kept editing in the dialogue box to see how to confess to her. But Yang Lu didn't give me time. When I saw the new boyfriend posted in her circle of friends, I couldn't control my temper for the first time, and dropped my mobile phone. 7. I'm going to die of anger. Yang Lu really ran away. She went abroad. But I think it's my fault. It's because I didn't make it clear in advance, and didn't give her enough sense of security. She is not a safe girl in the first place. I chased her out and squatted near her apartment. Use money to live in her apartment, food temptation, sex temptation, wealth temptation. I have everything she wants. The premise is that she can only be mine. I will use up all my financial, human and material resources to catch up with her. Then hold it in the palm of your hand for the rest of your life. As long as I don't let go, I think she will fall in love with me as much as I love her.